I will say it because I'm not under any, it was Kaiser, sent her home. This is just one instance. Sent her home. Pain kept going out of control, no pain meds. I went in the middle of the night to get her meds. No hospital bed, no oxygen. Okay, had the talk with the family. I think it's time. Put her on hospice to pull in some extra home care. She was in a lovely boarding care at the time. Hospice nurse came in out and evaluated her, qualified her for end of life. The hospice medical director refused end of life care. I want to add at this particular time, she died 10 days later. So this was a 48-hour period of, I can't even tell you the pain and suffering. I can't even tell you the hours on the phone with Kaiser. And luckily I work with, any hospice I'll work with, one in particular that I love and I call in when I can. And they came to the rescue within 3 hours. I had her on oxygen. I had a hospital bed for her. I had her pain meds, and she was impacted. So this impacted her as well. Very painful, but after that, she slipped into a peaceful state of what I call liminality, that place from being present and that place from taking the transition to beyond. And she ended up having a beautiful death experience. So why do I bring this up? I bring this up because the reason she didn't get hospice service from this particular organization was because she didn't meet on paper what the regulations required. Now, I don't blame Kaiser. Well, okay. Sorry. I can be real. I was pissed. I've never been more angry in my life. I couldn't believe it. And what took me to my knees when the daughter called sobbing this Thursday morning, saying, weeping, can't a Holocaust survivor get a break? That was it. Advocacy, terror came out. She didn't meet the paper requirement. She died 10 days later. Okay? The regulations on hospice is 6 months or less, a terminal diagnosis. So we got what she needed and it moved. But that's just an example of how the medicalization can do more harm at times. Can do more harms at times. I cannot not touch right to die. It's active, it's in the news. California, I know you know this, I'll just say it out loud, is not a right to die state. Oregon, Montana, and Vermont, I believe, are the 3 states that are right to die at this moment. Who has that right? Doctors, nurses, family members, you, God. Who has that right? You're going to have to answer that one. However, I can share I advocate for the right to die. I advocate for the right to die and for the conversation. Whether it's for you to choose it, whether it's your faith, whether it's a discussion with the family, it matters not, but the discussion. But the discussion about it. So I will be advocating for that legislation as soon as I get a breath, which I don't have at this moment. And I encourage you to explore that contemplation with yourself and your families. I also want to say something pretty risque here in that we do euthanize people here. We just don't call it that. When you push morphine at the end of life, that's what we're doing. That's what we're doing. But we're not calling it that. So again, remember that ideology thing I don't have? I invite you in to what that exploration and what that meaning is for you. We can't wrap death in a box. We can't wrap it in medical needs. It's not scientific, although there are aspects of it. There's a whole biological process. It's not just emotional. It's the integration. In our dualistic thinking, sometimes we have it either or, but it's really and. and it's Anne, and that's the full richness of life. My most heartfelt desire of this body's work may prevent fear-laden, lonely people in institutional closet end of life. That's where my heart passion comes in this work. The Buddha offers a teaching on the development of loving kindness, known as the MetaSuta. His hope in this teaching was to instill a sincere wish for contentment in all beings. I'd like to share with you my metta wish for the dying. May the dying be met with noble, mindful, and loving support. May the dying be peaceful and at ease with pain, suffering, and death. May the dying have the right to choose treatment of care and the right to die. May the dying have the opportunity to bask in their dreams, imagination, and personal expression of death. May the dying, if they choose, be given the means to die outside the myth of the medicalized death. May the dying inhabit their mind, body, and soul in a way that allows them to find their freedom in their song, dance, and love. May the dying feel the freedom to express her or his truth. May the dying die and the living live. Probably the most significant jewel that I have from my work is, as a death doula, is the only aspect of life that matters is love. Nobody at the end of life cares about what they did, what they bought, what they saw, how much they have. Nobody. Well, if you are concerned about telling their children where they hid the money, that comes up as well. That comes up as well. I'd like to leave you, and I'm going to open up for some questions. I'll have time, yeah? 5 minutes? I leave you with the final journey and the heartbeat of life and death, divine love. I felt the absence of my humanness. The remembrance fades in cosmic gray. Now I am suspended in absurdness. How can one delay drifting away? Oh, to surrender to the mystic soul. Divine love's embrace, how else can I pray? I drift in thy one consecrated soul. I rejoice in existence after life. Love surprisingly blinds my yielding soul. I pilgrim through the poetry of life. The lyricist dwells in the internal tapestry of thy one immortal strife. I hear the poet musing maternal submission to the lasting void of love. Divine love humbles my endless kernel. Thy inspiration is suggested of death's true divinity within the one. Love discerns death, death discerns life, one love. Aries pricks the devout essential one. My ego dies, my heart's cry, I thrash through. I pray for redemption, thy godly one. Oh, how love symbolizes the true hue of thy mysterious tremendum guise. Let thy truth shine vibrantly through and through. I witness this truth in all human cries, feeling the throbbing beat upon my chest. The memories, the dreams, never dies. Hear the sounds of the universal chimes. These sounds rejoice in our collective soul. Can you feel the divine love in these times. The beginning, the ending are the same goal. Creation is one's only reflection of death's timeless, undying, loving soul. Thy breath, thy love, thy beloved are one. Oh. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So touched.
Andrea, is this on? No. Okay, can you hear me? Okay, now. Thank you so much. I see you as kind of a match in a dark room, shedding light on a very difficult topic. I thank you so much for the help that you gave me and Jeff through a hard time. I only found out about you through David about 3 weeks before Jeff died, and you were the day before vacation, and you said, call me on my vacation if you need me. And you were there amazingly, so often and so beautifully. So this right to die, it seems to me that with hospice, one has the right to die, even if the state isn't allowing it. Because once they come in, you don't even need a coroner to come afterwards, where everywhere else you do. And they bring in the drugs, and it's kind of up to the family, and they're amazing. So, and is hospice all around the country, or are there places where it isn't? So those are my questions to you.
Okay. Great questions. Hospice is all over. In some rural areas, there may not be as reaching of a hospice. The challenge with hospice these days is, I'm going to say expression, it's harsh, but it fits for me, is they sold their soul to insurances in the mid-90s. So that's their guiding influence. And their work is exquisite. I want you to hear that. I bring a hospice in with I was a hospice social worker for many years. I left hospice when they started to come in and tell me I had X amount of time, I had to see X amount of clients in a day, and I wasn't going to say hurry up and die. So they are limited with what they can do. Bless their hearts. Social workers, and I'm friends with many hospice social workers, have caseloads that are high, so they don't have time for the conversations often. We had many of those which were so beautiful. So it's not an anti-hospice at all. It's about deepening the opportunity to expand hospice's needs. Many times they don't express what all the options are. For example, most hospices come in with a mortuary list. Here you go. You don't have to hire a mortuary in the state of California. You can do it yourself. And for many families, mortuary costs are huge. It's the third largest cost for a family. So we can do that for ourselves if we choose. So it's just limited. I think that's the most important things. And they're regulated with medications by the laws, right? There are many of them. Usually it's a lot of medications available. So that's all my argument is, more of the conversations and more of the expanding. The right to die is choosing death. So in Oregon, for example, there's a cocktail that's made and all the paperwork to be signed, etc. And they can choose when to end their life within hours or minutes. We don't have that in the state of California. Hospice will support and nurture you. And for some, the end of life is long, is drawn out, is painful, and people can't find quality of life in that. And they want to end this. No judgment on that at all. The right to die allows that. However,